Hello YouTube, and welcome to a new video in my series People of the Elder Scrolls, the series where we examine one person in the Elder Scrolls lore and try to tell their story. Today we're talking about the Snow Prince, the last leader of the Snow Elves who played the central role in the final days of the Snow Elves in their struggle against the Nords. So, since I have nothing else to say for now, no announcements or anything, let's just immediately kick off with the video. The story of the Snow Prince plays during the late Moraddic era. During this time, the Nords under the leadership of Ysgramor himself were on a savage conquest of Skyrim to drive out the Snow Elves as a revenge for the Night of Tears a few years earlier, in which the Snow Elves had attacked the Nords and had completely desecrated the city of Saarthal. The Nords then had brought over an army from Admora under the leadership of Ysgramor and started slaughtering the Snow Elves in retaliation. This war did not go very well for the Snow Elves. After a few years they had lost almost all ground and were scattered as a people, with their population declined to a small fraction of what it had been before the Nordic genocide, as some called the Nordic conquest. During the years of war, the Nords, according to old songs, slayed many snow princes, leaders of the Snow Elves. But there was only one prince that modern history truly remembers, and it's the prince that became known as the Snow Prince. This Snow Prince was one of the Snow Elves' greatest warriors and was their last documented war leader. After the Snow Elves had been scattered, he and a small army of Snow Elves strengthened by the renegades from Skyrim were still holding out on the island of Solstheim and were fighting the local Nords savagely in skirmishes across the island. However, after the Snow Elves were removed from the mainland, Ysgramor's attention was called to Solstheim and he sent a large army championed by mighty warriors named Ulfgi Envelhand, Strom the White, Freda Oakenwand and Heimdall the Frenzied. This army absolutely destroyed the Snow Elves on the island in what was known as the Battle of Moosring Mountains. And the Snow Elves were there close to being destroyed, but then the Snow Elf leader appeared on the battlefield. He rode into battle on a brilliant steed of pallid white. He was clad in a steel shining armor and bore a spear that radiated of unknown magic according to the Nordic documents that we still have of the time. To the Nords he almost seemed like a powerful spirit of a forgotten past, and for the first time during that battle, the Nords were actually scared, as under the leadership of the Snow Prince, the Snow Elf warriors banded together again and gave them hope. The Snow Elves in battle just started chanting, "The Snow Prince is come, doom is at hand," and the Elves became calm and certain that there was only once again hope for the battle as long as the Snow Prince led them. The Snow Prince rode on his horse through the battlefield and he moved himself to the front lines. As he moved, the Snow Elves became silent in determination. According to the annals that we have from the Nords themselves became silent too, in realization that much more blood would flow before the day was over. As he stood in the front lines, the Snow Prince apparently fought the mighty champions of the Nords and slew them all one by one. Ulfgi Envelhand, Strom the White, Heimdall the Frenzied and Freda Oakenwand all fell before him and lay dead at the foot of the Moosring Mountains. The tide of the battle then seemed to have turned, and the Snow Elves rallied together in a last charge against the Nordic ranks, hoping to destroy them. The Snow Elves were bound for their first victory in a long while, but then suddenly, as out of nowhere, the Snow Prince himself fell dead on the ground with a sword sticking from his chest. He had been struck by the sword of a 12-year-old squire named Fina, who was the daughter of a Nordic knight which was slain in battle. She had been blinded by rage and sorrow as she threw the sword directly at the prince and hit him right in the chest. The prince fell off his steed in surprise and he lay dead on the ground, slain by a mere child. This turned the tide completely. With their last leader slain, the Snow Elf army was quickly routed and destroyed. Some would seek refuge with the Dwemer, who would later betray them, and others would just be killed by the Nords and would be burned later that night after the battle. All the Snow Elf bodies except for one were burned that day. Only the Snow Prince would get an honorable burial. According to the annals that we have, the Nords decided that one so mighty in war and so loved by his kin deserved better, even if he was an enemy of the Nords. They wrapped his body in silk and buried him with the slain Nords in a freshly dug barrow, with his armor and spear presented on a pedestal of honor. His tomb was decorated with treasures worthy of his stature, honoring the mighty leader in death, even if he had been an enemy. Many grave robbers over the years would try to obtain his armor and spear, all failing, and eventually the tomb's location would be forgotten to history, until the Nerevarine came along and would get the opportunity to obtain them during his exploration of the ancient Barrow in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind. Well, that's the story of the Snow Prince. Whether he truly was a prince or just a warrior dubbed a prince by his people in their last stand, we don't really know. We don't know anything about him or his life prior to the Battle of Moosring when he appeared out of nowhere, previously presumably unknown to the Nords, or if he was known, we have no records of it. We know that the Snow Elves had princes of their own, so there's a fair chance that he was an actual royal of the Snow Elves who managed to escape the onslaught of the mainland. His actual name is lost to history, so he will always just be known as the Snow Prince to us. Well, the one and only Snow Prince. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like the video, subscribe for more Elder Scrolls lore content. I basically upload every week. I want to acknowledge quickly the amazing people here on screen, my patrons, who basically contribute and make a long way in making this content possible. And I want to give a special vocal mention to my top patrons, Hayden Barnes, Sam Campling, Gabriel Binda, and Zachary Fluke. You guys are awesome. With that said, if you're looking for personal contact with me, my Discord and Instagram are in the description. And with that, I will see you all in my next lore video. Bye bye!